Every year, schools around the world spend massive amounts of time and money on the latest technology, hoping to completely revolutionise the classroom. Yet we constantly see a frustrating, repetitive pattern: early excitement, followed by patchy implementation, and ultimately no lasting shift in pedagogy. There's a classic story Sengo likes to tell about a couple of young fish swimming along. They pass an older fish who nods and says, "Hey boys, how's the water?" The two young fish swim on for a bit until one looks at the other and asks, "What's water?" In school systems, we're often blind to the invisible currents holding our biggest challenges in place. That's where Sengo's 6 conditions of system change comes in. It's an overarching meta framework for my research, a diagnostic master map that helps us see the water. Rather than just analysing classroom technology as an isolated event, this framework organises 6 conditions across 3 distinct levels of visibility. My project uses this conceptual overview to unite multiple frameworks. It shows that to answer my research question, how generative AI can enhance the learning journey for years 6 to 8 students, we cannot just focus on classroom approaches, we must address all conditions in the 3 tiers of the entire system. Traditional change initiatives almost always focus on the top tier, explicit structural change. This is the most visible layer. In a school, this is where we build the rules, run the professional learning, and allocate the budgets. But this meta framework warns us that addressing only these explicit structural levers is never enough for long-term sustainable change. In New Zealand primary schools, this explicit layer is incredibly uneven because our schools are board-led and policy guidance can be non-mandatory. For classroom practices, we map models like ADCAR to see if teachers are using AI as a true pedagogical partner. We also have to look at the resource flows because unequal funding and a lack of national approaches can create massive digital inequities. To make technology integration stick, we have to go deeper into the semi-explicit relational tier. In systems thinking, there is no organisational change without transforming relationships. We must evaluate the relationships and connections because relational trust between teachers, leadership, and whānau is what makes teachers feel safe enough to experiment with generative AI in their pedagogy. And we must confront the power dynamics by asking whose voices actually shape how the AI is used and whose knowledge really counts. Most commercial generative AI tools are developed by global tech companies with zero accountability to te reo Māori and Mataranga Māori. This is why my research draws on the wisdom and the metaphor of navigational change provided by Hatu Waka. By focusing on the phrase of te whakaritiriti, preparing the collective to navigate together, we can examine these power dynamics. At the very foundation of the entire system lies the most powerful yet completely invisible condition, our mental models. These are deeply embedded, taken for granted assumptions and habits of thought. If our underlying beliefs about technology, learning, and relationships remain unexamined, any policy we will write or PLD we will run is destined to fail. The new tool will simply be adapted to fit our old, unexamined habits of mind. Only by addressing the conditions at every single tier, from board policy to our underlying beliefs, can we truly build an equitable, lasting, and transformative future for our students. This foundational layer is exactly how I answer the core research questions. To teach critical thinking, we must shift the student's mental model of AI from a magic answer box to a value-laden dialogue partner. To understand the evolving role of the teacher, we must shift their mental model from a student-facing technology to a teacher-mediated human-in-the-loop pedagogy. And to achieve sustainable organisational change, we must shift the school's model from top-down policy compliance to collective navigation. By using the 6 conditions as the overarching conceptual framework, my project does something unique. It doesn't treat generative AI adoption as a simple technical or pedagogical task. Instead, it treats it as a deep, multi-layered process of organisational change. The model provides an in for those that are leading the change, a way to navigate forward. Little is known really about generative AI in the primary education sector, and this model provides some proximity to the organisational reality in order for leaders to plan and lead sustainable change.